it's all about just making sure that people are as comfortable as they can be. Because they're the ones who give the time for me to come and speak with them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, it was kind of cool that I get to come out into your space, which is a whole heap of space, really.
Oh yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's surrounded by grass and birds and
So
cow shit.
but this is your day. But this
am
is
I
your
allowed to
daily.
swear? Sorry, Mel.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But this is your daily thing. So like, when you are here in Masterton, this is your like daily area.
Yeah. Yeah. Born here. I was born in the bathroom next door.
Really?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. This is pure me.
Right.
Yeah.
And so from then till now, what kind of this kind of section has been like developed over time?
Oh, this is essentially it. So this is all I can remember.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy heck.
We've developed a bit further down the driveway from when you drove in.
Yeah.
Dad purchased more land down there.
Okay.
But yeah, that's essentially it.
So for you coming back here, because you're living in Auckland now, and have you mostly grew up here though, and then you moved to Auckland now for work, but is this like your grounding area? So
For
like
sure.
every time you come back here, do you finally feel like you're at peace with everything?
Definitely, 100%. Yeah,
Right.
living in the city, it's a corporate CBD life.
Yeah.
And then coming into the farm, it's just you're stripped away from all that toxic negativity. Coming into the farm where you can just be yourself and no makeup, all free, hanging with the cows, hanging with all the animals. It's a completely different scene.
And is that something that you try to like kind of keep to yourself because that's like your little piece of you, or do you feel like you can get that out there a little bit more?
Oh, I definitely express it, especially online as well. Like I broadcast this whole lifestyle. I'm like, this is me enjoying my life here.
Yeah.
I definitely do express it in many ways, and especially when I meet people, I identify myself as, I'm from a farm, I'm a farmer.
Yeah.
This is who I am.
Right. And how does, so like, because when people will know who you are, and mostly people will know you from like your online persona.
Yeah.
And you do put that kind of farm stuff out there, but I don't think anyone's going to really appreciate, like, it's not that you just put on a Swanee and take a few photos. Like, this is the real deal,
you'd be
people.
surprised.
Like, I'm here, and this is a whole heap of land. This is a whole heap of everything going on.
Yeah.
And like, it's the real deal. And if you grew up in it, and this is all you've kind of done, like, you're not just kind of saying it for an online personality.
No, not at all.
Like,
Yeah.
this is you.
Yeah, this is essentially me, definitely. But I did put on a Swanee one time, held a gun and took a photo of me. That was,
Sorry to call you out like that.
I was like, oh shit. It really looks like that.
Yeah, I'm sorry to call you out like that. Like, right for everyone to hear all about it.
It's the real me.
Yeah, and so let's talk about the real me. Not too much where we're going to be like, I'm going to get into this and then talk about what my dad did, all those sorts of things. But more just, I think what people really fail to understand a lot of the times, especially with like people who do different types of work, or people only know you through types of work that you do, the real you kind of gets lost because you have to filter your way through how people want to perceive you.
Oh, for sure.
So with you, like, I guess, I hate to say this, and it sounds like I'm being mean to you, but a lot of people mostly know you because of your Instagram and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But you are like also just Sophie Howden, who, like, that's not just you. That's a small chunk of you that you put out there for people to see.
Yeah.
Like how, so we'll actually talk about how that actually came about, because I got onto Instagram about the end of 2016. So I haven't been on long.
Okay.
And I know it's tough. Like when you say one day I want to make it, it doesn't just happen.
No.
Like building a following is so hard.
They've made it a lot harder as well.
Right.
So when Instagram first started, it was super easy to get likes, followers, thousands and thousands. I remember one day I got 2.5 thousand followers in one day.
2.5.
This is when Instagram first started, and you'd have a photo that went viral, and it'll just snowball, and they'll just be exposed all around the world. But it doesn't happen here, these days with the algorithm.
Sure.
It makes it quite hard.
Yeah.
But I can understand back in 2016, I think algorithms were taking place back then. Mm-hmm. Not too technically whizzed out on that sort of aspect, but it's definitely hard.
Yeah. But you basically see like a little bit more because you've been part of it, but you've also seen like, I guess when we talk about algorithms, you think about the things that get pushed forward for everyone to see, and the things that kind of get suppressed a little bit.
Yeah.
So in terms of content, what is the content that kind of goes forward?
Oh, like I said before, sex sells.
Yeah.
And I think I noticed from when I post photos, if I'm in a bikini or I'm looking really pretty and dainty and out there, those photos will by far get at least 1,000 to 1,500 more likes than a photo, maybe just me from far away.
Yeah.
Or just even a selfie, or me with my family. It's me in a bikini that just takes the trophy there, which is quite sad.
And how does that play out with like you and how you feel about different things? Because there are going to be things that you're quite like precious about, like these are part of you, and then you put up a photo and then it doesn't do as well, and you're just like, wait a sec, is this because like I'm a failure at that sort of thing? Am I ugly? What's going on?
All that goes through your head for sure, and it's like, do I look weird? Do I look funny there, or does no one care? Like it's such a like it's hard to decode, but those thoughts do go through my head, and then you're just more hesitant to post those sorts of things, those things that are more real. And more valuable.
Sure.
You're just more hesitant because it seems like no one really reacts well to them.
Right.
And the algorithms could take place, or it's just people just not really giving a shit.
Sure.
So it's either or.
Yeah. They're like, oh, look at her trying to take hold of her life right now. Like, I want bikinis.
I want bikinis.
All right.
That's the reality of life, I think.
And days. How long has this kind of been part of your life?
Since I've been about 17. So can you do the math? I'm 23, 24
Yeah,
now.
about 5 years.
5 years? Yeah. Thanks, Troy.
Daddy. Yeah,
Good,
5, 6 years. Yeah. Quick math right there. So did you start on Instagram and then it kind of blew up as soon as you got onto Instagram? So that's all you've known? Or did you kind of have a period before where you were just like random stuff?
Yeah, for sure. So I made an Instagram, I was 16, 17. And I posted a bit, but then a large New Zealand company called Fitwear, they found me and they started to sponsor me. And it sort of just essentially just started to progress from there.
Yeah. And with fitness brands and fitness kind of sponsorships and whatnot, did you find it difficult also because at that 16, 17 year, actually most of that kind of time through most people's journeys, you're kind of like discovering yourself, but also discovering like what is acceptable in terms of a body. And in the fitness space, it's absolutely like ruthless with how people treat themselves because they feel like they need to look a certain way.
Definitely.
How did you kind of discover your way through that?
That was hard because at the beginning it was a huge emphasis, and still to this day, sort of the slim waist, big booty sort of thing. And I was chucked into that at a young age, and I was bullied quite a lot because I'm quite a slender, petite woman.
Sure.
And it just wasn't trendy at that time. And sort of getting into that fitness industry, you know, being slim and petite wasn't trendy at all. And I felt very insecure, and that's why I got into that scene, because I wanted to change my body and look more like the typical glorified woman.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you were going through that, like did you find that training and like watching what you eat kind of became a huge part of your life?
Definitely.
Like to a point where it like took over?
Yeah, for sure. I was eating chicken and rice at school. I was 17. I was force feeding myself. I was eating like raw eggs and smoothies and just really, honestly, eating to the point where I wanted to vomit. And my poor father, he was cooking chicken for me in my lunchbox. And I just wanted to get bigger. I wanted to get thicker, quote unquote, that sort of look.
Yeah, triple C's up there.
Yeah. And honestly, for a 17-year-old girl, you know, it's toxic. It's so toxic. And that's social media in a nutshell.
When you start to see that you can actually do something as well, because you were achieving things during that time, like you were having more recognition, but you were also like learning more about your body. And I find that that's the cool thing about fitness.
For sure.
Is that you learn a lot about that. And did you meet like I don't know how it happens in this fitness space or how it happens on the like social media platform, but you do meet a lot of different people.
Oh, for sure. I met quite the sort of Instagram famous at the time. So I was working with Fitwear and I was meeting all these quite up there bodybuilders, and they're all, you know, all jacked up dudes. They had huge followings, and I was just hanging out with this crowd. I was like, yeah, I'm so cool. You know, I'm the man.
Yeah.
And so that's how it all started.
And so still going through this, I mean, we had the introduction of the stories, and I feel like when you do stories, it changes how you can kind of go about a lot of your content.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, now getting to know you and seeing what you post on your stories versus what you like actually posting on your main page, like I feel like I'm seeing more of you in your stories. And have you found that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like that's what I've noticed. Like if you initially look at my profile, there's this chick flaunting herself in a bikini. It's purely just me.
Yeah.
Me all the way down.
Yeah.
And then on my stories, I never really put my face. I notice I don't really sort of show myself as much. It's always just taking photos of life, you know, my family, my farm, my dog, me on hikes, my friends, everything.
Yeah.
And that's more me. And I express as much as I don't like it, my political views. I get quite political.
Yeah.
I share my opinions, and it's all on the stories.
Yeah.
And I feel definitely more confident to do so.
That's awesome. And with all of that sort of stuff, and then like kind of talking about life and talking about family and talking about being able to share that sort of thing, and your opinions as well, they kind of come and they're formed by a lot of what you're grown up with. So you were born here, raised here, went to school around here.
Yeah.
From like you as a child, because you have Just one brother?
Just one brother.
Just
yeah.
one brother. And was he growing up with you in that
for
time?
sure. So he's 16 months older than me. So
cool.
we're very close,
Yeah.
extremely close. Yeah.
And was there any times like during that where you were like, oh, you know, this is my best friend, but also like, were there any times that you like were separated at all, and then you started to realize that it was only normal when I was with these people?
Yeah. Well, we've always been quite close because we were quite introverted kids. We come from very small schools, and it was only just us. But no, I've never really felt that separation with my brother.
Cool.
It's a very unique and valuable relationship I have with my brother.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
My best mate.
Yeah. And you talked about introversion there, and you talked about, so that's another thing that I think that's another dichotomy when we think about your online profile versus who you are as a person. And I can say for everyone trying to listen to this, we've been trying to organize this for a while, but I was very aware of your energy and how you've been feeling around this period, and I just wanted to make sure you were as calm as possible. So just, you know, what are you doing for yourself to feel like, okay, I can take care of my energy now, or are you getting better at saying no?
Yes, for sure. And no is my favourite word.
Nice.
And my friends definitely know this.
Yeah.
I just say no.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've developed over time, and, you know, can be a people pleaser, and I'll just get myself in situations and want to help people. But that essentially just burns you to the ground.
Yeah.
And you just, like, I took a whole year off work last year because I burnt myself out completely.
Wow.
And I've just stayed on this farm here and just completely chilled out and said no to everything.
Yeah.
No to partying, just no to working, which is it's a privilege I had, fortunately, to come back here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just taking time out for myself and just like removing essentially just everyone, because I'm very introverted.
Yeah.
And people will drain me, and I just have to, I go into my shell, and my friends definitely notice this of me. I'll just disappear for a while and just take time for myself. And it's something that helps me survive, essentially.
Are there things that you start to notice when you're like getting to that burnout stage?
Yeah. I'll start to get a bit snappy. I'll get anxious. I'll like start to develop quite bad thoughts, and because over the time you'll pick up on it, and you develop habits to really pick up and understand how your brain works. And it's essentially, that's how I did it.
Man.
Yeah. So when I feel it building on, I get shaky, I get tired. That's when I fully take myself out of the environment and just go to bed. Yeah. You know, watch some TV and just disappear for like the weekend.
Yeah. But you seem like someone who's like so like go.
I am. I'm a go person.
Yeah. So how did you find? Because I'm the same. Everyone's telling me right now, like, take a proper break so that you can come back and like do even better. But I find it hard to switch off.
Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah.
Because I find sort of value in what I do, right? It just makes you feel valuable, and it just gives you momentum in life.
Yeah.
So just sitting back and doing nothing, I feel a bit fucking useless. It's like I'm just a useless human.
Yeah.
So I just get momentum from those sorts of things. I'm sure you can relate.
Absolutely. And yeah. So when people tell me to like take a proper break, in the back of my mind, I've always got this thing in my head. It's like, you piece of shit.
Yeah. Like, it's like, do you know what hard work is?
Like back when I was, their own mind is telling you back when I was young and I used to do all these different things. Like, you must be getting soft. But, yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
But then you do find though, after like a really good break, even if it's a day or two where you just properly do nothing, you're like, I'm giving myself the space. You come back the next day and you're like, oh, that's why you break.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And what's your favorite kind of at the moment, now that you're here, or you won't be here for very long, but now that you're here, what is like your favorite thing to do where you finally feel like, there we go?
Oh, it's just like taking off all the makeup, because I suffer from quite bad acne.
Right.
And I wear a lot of makeup to sort of cover those imperfections in day-to-day life back in Auckland, you know. It's draining to look and perceive yourself as a certain way, just so your insecurities don't come out like that. So I just take off all the makeup, I let my hair be frizzy and curly and crazy.
Yep.
I crack open a beer, have a barbecue with my family, and just don't think about anything other than right now. And that's how I fully kick back.
And how did you get to that point of like realizing that this is good for you, rather than having that voice in your head that says you shouldn't be doing this, you should be doing something else?
Ooh, good question. I think I've never bet myself up for coming home and kicking back.
That's cool.
It's such a sanctuary for me. Like, I don't actually bring anyone here, so it's quite rare.
Thank you.
Your privilege here.
I appreciate it.
It's my sanctuary, so it's just, I've never really had any bad thoughts here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I've never beat myself up for doing jack shit on this farm.
That's cool. No, but I appreciate that, and thank you so much, and I hope that we don't bring any bad omens. So
that's why I got you here, because if I were to be in Wellington, I get quite tense in Wellington, because it was my old lifestyle there. That's why I left, and that's why I was like, please come here. This is where I'm at my best.
Yeah.
So
So
here we are.
so we're getting the real you right now.
Yeah, this is a real me.
There we go,
Yeah.
everyone. Thank you right there.
The
And,
real Sophie.
Cool. So we're just going back, and I just, you're talking about your family, and we're talking about. So I hate to keep bringing up social
It's
media,
fine.
but
Keep
with the like, do they know that you have that kind of? It's almost like not a side life, but like that part
Hannah
of you.
Montana, mate.
Yeah.
I am Hannah Montana for sure. I think people with common sense would know.
Yeah.
Because I think with my stories, I do show a lot of myself.
Yeah.
And then, the profile side. But I think when people meet me in real life, they are surprised. When they see my Instagram, they're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And then if people that meet me on Instagram see me in my day-to-day life, they're like, what the heck? You work in the office? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's just two extreme ends of the spectrum here. And it's very conflicting.
Yeah.
It is extremely conflicting.
Have you ever are you at that level of celebrity yet where people
No.
people come up to you, or they'll say, I saw you, I was going to come say
Yeah.
hi, but I didn't know.
Yes, yeah.
Really?
It happened. So I was I'd say peak exposure. This is when I was about 19, 20.
Yeah.
I was in Wellington at the time, and every time I went out, I'd get photos with people. People would ask for photos.
Damn.
And the friends that I was drinking with, they'd have to take the photo of the the people that know me, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is so weird. I'm friends with Sophie." People are like, "Oh my god, it's Sophie!" I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what am I famous for? I'm just famous for being like pretty online. Like, it's just so weird.
Right.
And like, I'm not like a famous sports player or any of that, crazy stuff. It was just me being me online.
Yeah.
And it was crazy stuff. It really was.
And did that change kind of how you? So, like, say someone was to take a photo, does that mean that you are gonna like have to view the photo because you're gonna see how it goes out because it's gonna go out into the public domain?
I don't think they put it on their stories. That's
Sure.
what it was about, but I don't think they'd post it online. I'm not that famous. It sounds like I've got a big ego right now. Like, oh, I'm so famous,
Well,
but people would. They'd send it to me and be like, "Nice to meet you." These are really genuine, down to earth people. They weren't crazy fans or anything. I wouldn't even call them fans.
Yeah.
It's just they see someone online that they were influenced by, and they liked who I was, and they just wanted a photo.
Yeah.
It's not like I was a massive celebrity or anything.
And you use the word that starts with I in terms of influence. And like, so, yeah, well, because that's what I think anyone who sees someone who has like the ability to go on a story and then swipe up because you're just like, I've got over 10,000 followers, swipe up to go look at this. Like, we would consider you an influencer.
Yeah, it's definitely an influencer. I'm an influencer.
And there are people, there we go. The first step is admitting. So we're there now.
Once you influence someone. That's
exactly. And that's what I wanted to get at is that I think there's almost like not a pressure, but there is something that you have to really consider when it does come to posting things, because there will be people who are like, maybe you when you started at like 17 or 16, 17, and they want to get some sort of recognition, but then also try to find role models. So technically, there's probably a lot of people who listen to what you say.
Yeah.
And how do you find that? Like, do you mind that is kind of where you're at now?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it in a way. Like I pride myself on my knowledge, and I like to share it, and I like to influence people in that manner.
Yeah.
And I have really, really smart people following me, and they share their opinions with me, and we have a structured conversation.
Yeah.
It's a complete stranger.
Yeah.
And they know a lot about me from following me.
Yeah.
And we just bounce off each other, and we learn off each other. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so you're kind of touching on something that not many other people talk about when they talk about like social media.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about it as this like the worst thing that could possibly happen. Yet it's still something that we are all kind of like glued to. They're like, oh, but it's so bad. They're just like yeah. They're talking about how much they hate it on the thing that they hate, and we're just like, okay, bro.
It's typical, right?
Yeah. But you're seeing this as like there's an opportunity for you to do good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like it's like, again, like it brings me value.
Yeah.
Like I feel good when I share information about refugees or about suicide and all like the tense topics. I feel good like sharing it. And I have the opportunity and the influence because I get thousands of people watching me. I have that privilege to share it.
Yeah.
So definitely.
And when you did do that, so you had shared something as well, and because people do want to hear from you, and people, I think, want to know more about who you are as a person, because I think, we have this one thing about you that people can see. We also have your stories, but your stories are only like touching on a few things at the moment. But when people... when you put the call out to see what people were really interested in, what were the types of things that they're just like, actually, I want to know more about this side of you?
Yeah.
What were the main things?
This is when I post that question.
Yeah,
it was more about just money saving and just like growing up in a small town and the Instagram culture and sort of what it's like to be a young woman in the corporate scene. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people want to know about that.
Yeah, and so that comes back to the two things, because I remember when I think I first started following you, and you would like always just be like, all these people think I spend my day at the beach just in a bikini, but actually I have a job too.
I have a 9-to-5 job, man. I pay the bills.
Yeah, so like that grind. So there's a couple of things that come with that. There's the first, which is just like you are actually having to go in to do work. Like you have to make money somehow. You don't just get it by lying at the beach all day.
Yep.
And the second is having that profile, and if work colleagues find that. So we'll do that one, because that one's a little bit just like, how do you balance that?
Oh, so you're asking me how I balance
so how do you balance
Oof.
it, or how do you get past that
So
feeling of
hard.
like, oh my gosh, you follow me on Instagram, and like, oh,
That's so tense. I
Yeah.
remember working in the government a couple of years ago, and it was a team full of young women.
yeah,
And my manager knew I had this profile, because when you get employed,
Sure.
they Google you, right?
Yep.
They search for dirt on you.
yeah,
That's why I'm quite surprised, because imagine, applying for this ministerial coordinator job and seeing this chick with just, his Instagram profile. You're like, what? And so when I'm in these jobs, sort of the word does go around. Someone just with natural curiosity would just search you on Facebook and go, oh shit. And they find it, and it's sort of the word's out and the word spreads. But I never, ever mention Instagram in my
Sure.
corporate career, ever.
Sure.
I never bring it up.
do people ever bring it up with you?
That's how it sparks. Yeah, I'm
Sure.
like, okay, this is me.
Yeah.
This is who I am. Yeah, whoop-de-doo.
So it's not like, so people will find that out, but you kind of just own it.
I own it.
Okay.
But then again, I say, this is not me. Please do not glorify this. It's
Right.
like, please see me as a working professional and
Yeah.
not this Instagram influencer.
Yeah.
And I have to remind them that.
Good on you. And the working professional side of yourself, so you actually do work full-time jobs, and
Yeah.
you're also working like very corporate type thing. Like
Very
you're not,
corporate, yeah.
How did that come about? Like, where was the interest to get into that sort of area?
I have, because, I don't know, as a kid, I've always envied the office environment.
Sure.
I don't know, like, it's a difficult question to answer, because I've just sort of managed to float my way into this. So I started off as a receptionist.
Yeah.
And I just love the corporate environment, it's just a very influential environment, and it just escalated from there,
Yeah.
essentially, because I never went to university.
Yeah.
I did terribly at school,
Right.
but it's not necessarily to say I'm stupid. I couldn't work that out, but it was just the office environment gave me that chance to really use my intellect
Yeah.
in a different way, in a
Yeah.
shape or form. That's how it just sort of, you climb the corporate ladder in that sense.
So there was nothing after high school for you?
No.
It's like just into the job.
I studied makeup artistry.
Sure.
Qualified makeup artist.
Oh,
yeah,
very
mate.
good.
Yeah, but
Nice.
no, didn't like it.
So you just started, I think this kind of reminds us a lot, because I, like, obviously as someone who went through university myself, I always tell people, like, there will be way more people who are smarter than me, except they didn't get the degrees. But they
Really?
also
Say that, wow.
they also have like a lot of practical knowledge
Yeah.
that I would never have, because all I had done was like very specific work in my field. But there are people who will go out and get jobs right away, and they just learn on the job.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
And you would have learned from so many, because you're like surrounded by extremely successful people.
Oh, wow, yeah, because when I was a receptionist and an admin back on my very first job,
Yeah.
I'd work closely with the CEO. And it's just like, to be 18 and to work with these very influential people are such good influences. And they brought me up that way. They saw something in me. They just shared their knowledge with me.
Yeah.
And it just escalated from there.
And what type of personality? Oh, so this is a big question. What type of personality do you think you had to have had though at that moment to actually be the person that they wanted to bring up with you? Like, what do you think were your characteristics that they're just like, that's a good girl?
Just the willingness to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Just the hunger, I think, and just taking the 9 to 5 very seriously.
Yeah.
Being on time all the time, and just asking questions and just being very interactive and being very confident. Even though I'm an introverted, shy kid. I'm a small town farmer.
Yeah.
And to go into that scene, you just had to just fake it essentially,
Yeah.
and just be chatty and be very charismatic and polite and respectful. And then people notice that.
Isn't it funny that those are like the main things they try to teach you as a kid?
I know.
And
It's just the bare basics, man. Just do the bare minimum.
Yeah, and you have to come back to it, just be like, hey, remember, be a good person.
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
Oh,
that's right, I'll write that down.
It's quite sad, the whole schooling system. I can talk about that for days, because I went to a small town school called Montessori, which
Right.
was like an alternative way of
Yep.
learning.
Yep.
And so I went to that school from 3 to 13 years old.
All right.
And then I jumped into sort of the normal schooling,
Yep.
which was the school I went to just down the road.
Okay.
But yeah, like you just don't learn any of these things in school.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, they're like drilling all these different theories and stuff into
Oh,
you, and just like, how do I pay a bill?
How do I pay a bill?
How do I do
Have
that?
common sense,
Yeah.
my friend.
Right. But so from there, you worked in Wellington for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then how long ago did you actually move to Auckland?
February this year.
But
so
you
it's
had-
almost been a year.
Yeah. And you had that time off though, like
Yeah,
last year.
last
Was that
year.
just to like reconfigure everything that was going
Yeah,
on?
I was pretty burnt out. But it was a few life events that really struck me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I lost a few friends to suicide, and it sent me back, and I couldn't digest that.
Yeah.
While working quite an extreme job in politics, you know, I was so young, and I just had all this chaos. My head was so clouded, and I sort of had to make that decision, that keyword no,
Yeah.
and say no. I have to say no to this, and I really have to pull it back and come home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is like for all of you who can't be here right now, I'm so sorry, but I think this would be the place to go. Like I'm still trying to find that place for myself. You know, the one place where you can go sit and just be like, there's exactly. See,
Definitely.
so you now you're up in Auckland.
Yeah.
And I have spent a very small amount of time in Auckland, but I get overwhelmed very quickly.
Honestly, so did I.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't even know how I'm living there.
Yeah.
It's to be quite frankly honest with you, like I met someone up there.
Yeah.
So I chased love essentially.
Right.
And that was the only reason why I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't work out, and I just sort of stayed there. I had a good job.
Yeah.
Why not? You know, it's a whole new life. Why not? Yeah.
And so you're still there and you're still working there and you're like on that grind. And during that time, like how are you starting to adjust, or what are you actually doing to make sure that you can actually survive and not have to take another, so besides the word no, like is there anything that you're practically doing with yourself?
So I take myself to the beach every weekend.
Oh.
Yeah, all the time. Like every week. I can't do it on the weekdays because I'm just working typical 9 to 5 and I go to the gym.
Yep.
I'm always in town, but the weekends are the time where I really take myself out myself out of the city, Auckland.
Yeah.
Take some time for myself and just breathe, have a good sleep. But with this whole new lifestyle, it's quite easy to fall into all the drinking.
Yep.
Like I get into a rhythm of drinking quite a lot because I meet different people.
Yeah.
And that's how I burn myself up. But definitely just removing myself from the environment that
Yeah.
I'm usually in definitely helps me a lot.
So being by yourself though?
Yeah, definitely. Always by myself.
So you would always do it. And you don't have any qualms with being by yourself?
Pardon?
Like you don't have any qualms with you being by yourself?
No.
I
love it.
Nice.
I love it. I put on my headphones, like
Yeah.
these massive Sennheiser headphones,
Yep.
play some Dr. Dre, you know, just chill, just meditate on the beach.
Yeah.
And just spend a few hours.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. And you did touch on something that is very close to my heart, and that is hip hop.
Oh.
I think that was the first thing that I realized about you, is that you're like not one of those, oh yeah, I'll just listen to some of these like hip hop artists. But it was the real deal.
Yeah.
And I think there was like a photo that you put up, and you had all these different album covers on it. And
yes,
then I
I
was
made
just like,
that, yeah.
And I saw that, and then I saw the albums that were on there, and I was like, these aren't your typical albums. Like, this is someone who listens to hip hop. And then I was just like, okay, right.
Okay.
So weird, like, has that always been your genre of choice?
Yes. From about, I remember I was 13 years old,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure if I'm going to damage my reputation here, but I was under the influence of, you know.
All right, we all go through some things.
Yeah, and I was just, you know, vibing out, and someone played Nas, The Message.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, this is a tune.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what is this?
Yeah.
And then it just sparked, honestly. And then I just learnt more about sort of the old school hip hop and the way they speak in comparison to like 2020 hip hop, where
Yep.
they just talk about irrelevant crap. It's
For sure.
disgusting.
For sure.
And so like the 90s hip hop, you know, it just really spoke to me. I was like, I love this. The beats and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there anyone else besides Nas, like, at that point when you got into it? Or did you kind of, like, find artists that you would like? Or did you kind of just spread out?
It just spread out, really.
Yeah.
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 And in that, you kind of find your favorites.
Yeah.
And who are maybe say, oh man, actually this could change in the next month or so. But
It
who
does.
I like,
That's a hard question. Don't ask it.
Well,
Every hip hop fanatic, you know,
yeah.
it's hard to ask that. But I think the game will always
I
top.
love the game.
They're always a top. I love the game.
Yeah.
But he's gone a bit AWOL recently. I
Yeah.
don't know what the heck's wrong with him? But as you do with rappers, you know,
Yeah,
they ruin themselves with what they do.
absolutely.
Second would have to be Nas. I think
Yep.
Nas has got a special place in my heart.
That's awesome.
Third, oof,
Even those top two are pretty amazing.
I think top two, yeah.
Yeah.
3, it always changes. Usually I chuck someone modern in,
Mm-hmm.
and that's sometimes even like Big Sean.
Yeah?
Sometimes I like Big Sean.
Nice.
Old school Big Sean.
Yeah, right.
Like he hangs with like Jay Electronica. Have you heard of Jay Electronica?
Yep. Yeah. I remember when they did the controller.
Yeah, that's one of my
then-
favourite songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that sort of Big Sean.
Yeah.
But he's turned into a willy-nilly right now, but oh well.
No, that's cool. But like you actually do get into that sort of thing and you get into it properly.
Yeah.
And I find that, so this is going to come into something, I promise. But the music that you listen to, I think it helps with where you are as a person. Like it helps you develop. It's almost like you find mentors through like music
Definitely.
that you listen to.
Yeah.
And through that sort of stuff, like the stuff you were listening to, like especially Nas was very vocal of like the political scene, with, you know, black rights and all that sort of stuff, but then also
Definitely.
being a father, like all these different things that some of those males never really got a chance to have as a role
exactly.
model. And then they had Nas.
Yeah.
You know?
It's such a huge influence. Even like me, just like a young chick, you know, you can't really relate in that sense. But no, he did speak the truth.
Yeah.
And that's what I really appreciated with these old school rappers.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening in 2020. I know they have potential and they have skills, but the way they preach their what they say, it's just garbage.
Yeah.
It's complete garbage. Honestly, oh gosh, it's mindless garbage. And people, they don't even process what they're saying. They just sort of vibe out and listen to me like, this is mean. They don't know what they're listening to. It's mindless. It essentially comes in the category of mindless consumerism.
Yeah. Yeah. And talking about mindless consumerism and whatnot, when you, on the other side, so you actually, because you're not just someone who posts stuff and then you're like off it as well, you would follow stuff, right? And you do spend time on Instagram.
Yeah.
How is, like, are you, now that because you're where you are you way more aware of when you're like looking at things?
Definitely.
What types of things are you aware of?
Well, I've essentially removed, like my following list is quite small because I know how heavily influenced you are by just scrolling, you know, even if you don't look at it properly, you are quite influenced by what you see. And I've really switched up on who I follow and what I take in on Instagram. So I follow a lot of like business pages and a lot of news pages essentially.
Yeah.
And a few rappers here and there, and then my close friends. And that's essentially it.
And when you're reading news stuff, how has that changed for you over years? Because the reason why I asked this is because I read news very skeptically now.
Oh, really?
Like I don't just take everything as like, oh, that's true, because then you'll just like read maybe from another page.
Endless,
Someone's like got the exact opposite view of it, and you're just like, okay, I'll take as much as I can in, but then I'll like digest it and be like, okay, this is probably more of the truth here. Like, do you find that just following everything that you see online, like, are you a little bit more cautious of it?
Definitely. Yeah, you can't trust everything you read online. You have to develop trust in what you're following and certain types of news outlets. You know, you have to follow the trustworthy people because there's news outlets like stuff.co.nz and you don't want to believe anything they say.
Yeah.
But it's, vulnerable people, they wouldn't know. So you have to be very, very careful on what you read.
Yeah. And the vulnerable side of things is like, that's something that I've seen over years, especially when it comes to people who just don't know any better. And with products, we won't call people out here, but have you ever had to say no to a few things, like for people to want to endorse, like you to endorse for different things because you're not?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, good. You're a good
100%.
person.
Yeah, I've been, people have like dangle over like a lot of money for me to promote certain things and say certain things.
Yeah.
And I just say no.
Yeah.
My favorite word, no. Because it's, honestly, it's toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good because you're not one of those people. I mean, I've seen it with the best of people who have really, really good intentions and then they get a...
Oh, it's so easy. It's quick, easy money.
Yeah.
This whole lifestyle. Like me at 19, I made my first couple thousand on Instagram. Yeah, yeah.
You can do that on... Okay.
Oh, I was 19. And I was like, Dad, look, I've made this. And my dad, he's a huge influence in my life. I remember he responded, like, how's your job going? Oh, that's cool, but how's work going?
Yeah.
And so that set the standard for me.
Cool.
But then promoting these sorts of stuff, they control what you say. They control what time you post. They control what they want. And I remember just like posting it. I'm like, oh, God, this isn't me. This feels weird.
Yeah.
No matter how much they pay you, it just feels so false. I don't know how people can survive in those sorts of jobs online. It just baffles me, essentially. Yeah.
And do people like kind of know that about you now, or is it still just your close friends who kind of know this side of you?
Yeah, just close friends, I'd say. Well, it's hard you can't really know someone online, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult, A lot of people's role models, they don't even really know who they are.
Oh, God, no. No way. Until you meet them, right?
Yeah.
And would you say, because we only just met today.
Yep.
Is it like, would you expect me to be like this, or like it's a bit of a hard question?
I kind of thought you would be like this.
Okay, good.
That's because though we've been trying to organize this for a little bit, but also the things that you would post that I would respond to, I got like a very like, oh, this is me.
Yeah.
I think maybe one of the first times you had contacted me, you like called me cuz, and I was just like, there we go. So I know exactly what to expect from you.
Rat from me, yeah, definitely, yeah.
No, for sure. And I think that's why I wanted to get this kind of out, and I wanted to hear you talk about this sort of thing, because I feel like it's really unfair when people are only known by their work or known by their online personality.
That's very disheartening.
But you've got a lot of things that go on.
Yeah, I've got an incredibly strong personality, and it's sort of it sort of infuriates me for someone to generalize me in that aspect, looking at my Instagram and say, oh, it's just a dumb chick that just posts herself online, you know, and they put me in that category. I'm like, no, like I'm a person. I care about the world. I care about my family. I care about myself. I'm a human.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a lot of convincing to do in that aspect.
Yeah, and you do. I mean, I think, like I keep saying, with the stories, you can kind of get to that a little bit, but then, like, I think you only have such small bandwidth to be able to share that sort of thing. So like even if you're writing a caption, like you can't tell the whole story. And then when you do write it out, someone will look at it like, what about this? What about that? What about this?
It's endless, honestly. It is.
And with that, and you kind of going forward with not promoting different things, but bringing awareness to different things. I just saw when you turned your hand over, you have a semicolon.
Yes.
And I have heard, like, you speak about this quite a bit, but I want everyone else to hear, just in case they've missed it. Can you please, like, if it's okay with you, just to talk about the significance of that tattoo?
Yeah, so I actually had a very close friend who was affected by suicide as well. He tattooed on this to me, or for me, after my close friend passed away last year.
Yeah.
But the semicolon sort of represents essentially a time where, well, it's the semicolons used in a sentence when you can finish the sentence but choose to keep going, right? And that's sort of the significance of what's on my wrists. And it's actually a worldwide symbol for suicide awareness.
Sure.
So when people always like have a second glance at my wrist and like, oh, what's that? And I'm like, oh, it's a semicolon, it's for suicide awareness. I'm like, oh wow, tell me more. And I tell them my story, and it just sort of creates the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And being able to talk about that sort of thing with different people, are you, like, you're feeling more comfortable to be able to share?
Oh, it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of have to sort of swallow and sort of take a step back, because even then I sort of almost get teary-eyed because it's so raw. Like, this only happened a year ago. And essentially about 3 people in my life over the space of a couple months, they just killed themselves. And it's still quite raw for me, but I'm developing the confidence to talk about it. So it's hard to have this look down and be like, fuck, you know, that's it brings up emotions. Yeah. And it's definitely hard to talk about, but I think I'm developing more confidence.
Yeah. And I think not to bring in Spider-Man, but like with where you are, like there is a responsibility, and I feel like you have a really good shot at helping a lot of people though with that, because a lot of people are going to see what you say and then they're going to hear this sort of thing, and it might not change how they feel in that moment, but there might be a time in the future where they've had that brought to their awareness.
Yeah.
So you got the cool stuff to do.
Yeah. You know, I hope I can influence people and just share my story, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in terms of your story, and in terms of where you're hoping to go, like in the next couple of years, because you're going to head back up to Auckland and get through all of that stuff, is there anything that you have, like a big plan for what you might be doing?
I share my big plan, my 5-year plan. It's always to do with work. I love the corporate scene. I live and breathe it, even though it's very toxic. It's burned me out to the core. Like, this year has been very hard business-wise for me. But essentially I just want to grow within a company. I'm in a very good company at the moment, and I want to take courses and develop my knowledge and education there. I want to get into the project management space of it.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think that's my next goal.
Yeah.
Maybe in the next 3 or 4 years, who knows? But, you know, I'm still very young, and to be 23 in this environment, you know, people don't take you seriously when you're a bit young.
Sure.
That's what I've noticed.
Sure.
So you just have to have time, knowledge, and just take it slowly. So that's what I'm trying to teach myself, because I'm always like, I want bigger salary, I want more money, I want a bigger job title. That was my mindset. And I'm just sort of taking it, you know, year by year. Was
there anything during that time where, like, it made you realize that that's kind of how you have to go? So, I mean, it's always really, really good to be ambitious, like super, super ambitious. And if you have that sort of side in you, when the opportunity does arise, you can, like, actually go for it. But was there anything in you, or was there something that happened that made you feel like, okay, all right, just take a step. I'm still young. Yeah. And, like, realize you're young?
Well, it happened just couple months ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was in a job I did not like, and I can't really talk about it because it was a very tough time. But that was when I was just trying to just like put myself under a lot of pressure and learn lots and earn more money. And I just said, right, you're burning yourself to the ground again. You're going to be in the same position as you were a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Take a step back. You're 23.
Yeah.
You don't need all these massive goals just to validate yourself. I was in quite a toxic mindset.
Yeah.
So I took a step back. I got a good job at a good company, and I'm just learning the balance of work life and developing good relationships and all these other aspects in life that are very important.
Yeah.
Because usually I was in such ambitious mindset where I'm like, work is work and I need to develop myself, and I didn't really care about anything else.
Sure.
So that was a big turning point for me a couple months ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting balance, man. I'm still trying to figure that out.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Because you'll be the same. You're just non-stop, right?
Yep. And that's all I want to do. All I want to do is work.
Can't help it.
Yeah. And then you get a few people saying like, hey, what about this? What about that? You're just like, I can't focus on that right now. And then again, it comes to a point where it's too late, where some things start walking out of your life and something you're just
definitely.
like, damn it.
Yeah. Honestly, out of everything, I can be good at my job, good at saving, good at all this, but relationships is something that I just can't haggle. It's just from dedicating myself so much to work, something has to decrease because you just forget about it.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's my life.
Right. No, I feel you right now.
Are hard.
Yeah. They're just like, hey, do you want to do this, or do you want to have a really nice balanced life? I'm just like, you know what? Can you do both? Is it possible?
It is possible.
Yeah.
You just have to train yourself, and you have to just take it slowly.
Yeah.
I think that's what we have to remind ourselves. Just kick back.
Yeah.
Man, we're young.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So hard.
Because we're allowed to. I think this is what I'm trying to change in myself as well, is that I don't need to deserve time off. If I feel like I need it, just take it. I don't need to explain to anyone that this is what I need. I'm just like, hey, look, I'm not feeling good. I don't think you'll get anything good out of me, so I'm just going to chill for a bit.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Do you find it hard though, because people kind of, actually, do you have to take breaks from Instagram? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, I did that when I was going through a very rough patch. This was a couple of years ago, before at my breaking point of taking the whole year off work.
Yeah.
I deleted Instagram for a month or two, just fully hooked back. And definitely it's needed.
Yeah.
But I think these days, you have to learn self-control. So if you take something away, you'll just develop the same habits when it comes back, right?
Sure.
So you just have to develop a quite healthy mindset towards it.
Yeah.
Instead of just depriving yourself and coming back with the same old habits. So that's what I've taught myself.
That's cool.
But I still fall into it. So I'm at work, I'm like, oh, Instagram, it's so bad. So you have to physically put your phone away.
Yeah.
It's a good habit to have, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still learning.
So besides physically putting it away and the things that you are learning, so I don't even have, I probably have an eighth, no, not even that, of the following that you have, and I am prolific on my phone. I'm not that bad though, compared to a lot of other people I've talked to. I feel compared to where I used to be, I'm really bad on my phone. I'll just be on it for no reason.
Yeah.
I'll just be putting my shoe on, and then before I even put the other shoe on, I'll check it, and I'm just like, what the heck just happened there?
Yeah.
So with you, I'm just kind of assuming that your phone goes off all the time.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right.
It does.
Thank you for the confirmation. But what do you do? How is it that you even put that thing on without getting overwhelmed?
Oh, gosh.
Well, I remember once I had 5 messages. I know, I'm pretty popular. And I was just like, oh gosh, I have to get back to all of these.
Signature?
Oh, well. But I can just imagine yours is just unbelievable.
You'd be surprised, I think. It comes and goes, really.
Sure.
But it depends on how active I am on Instagram.
Right.
I post once a month.
Okay.
So sometimes if I do continuously post, people will start to message me, randoms and all that stuff.
Yep.
I've turned my notifications off on Instagram.
Cool.
So if someone messages me, I just don't see it.
Cool.
Until I actually check.
Yep.
That's why I got you to text me.
Yep.
Because it just sits in the sea of DMs.
Yes, yeah, them sea of DMs. Goodness gracious. But in that sea of DMs though, there's probably really, really good people.
Oh, honestly, the people that, like I said before, the people that follow me, there's some genuine, very smart people.
Yeah.
And I'm amazed.
Yeah.
I'm amazed who follows me and how these are just daily average people, are teachers, police officers, are scientists, are doctors.
Yeah.
These are people I've never met in my life, but there's some very interesting people.
Cool.
In my DMs.
So it's not always a bad thing, people.
No, I don't know. Completely, it's not you do get some sleazers.
Yeah.
It's typical. Any sort of chick, you don't have to be famous.
That's
right?
true. That is true.
Women get harassed online. It's such an easy outlet to really just message and interact with anyone.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't respect that, and they just sort of message, DM, like, and it happens to everyone, famous or not.
Yeah.
Not to say I'm famous, but you know.
And you do talk about the powerful woman quite a bit,
Yeah.
and I'm like a huge fan of that, and I just like love it because you are the type of person who, like, people will listen to, and hopefully they'll be like younger, older, people your age, but women who can see the stuff that you're doing and just be like, you know what? I can be beautiful, but I can also be super intelligent. I can also be super, like, all of these different things. Have that always kind of been instilled in you, or is that something that you had to take back for yourself?
Ooh, good question. Like, I think I was just brought up like that.
Yeah.
I have very strong parents, strong family.
Yeah.
My grandmother was extremely influential. She started the first women's refuge in the Wairarapa.
Nice.
So it was just these influential people in my life, and I was sort of essentially just brought up and influenced by that. So there wasn't a day where I'm like, right, I love strong women. I'm going to be a strong woman. It was just, it was in me, and I was taught that way. Yeah.
So finding really good role models for
Definitely. Role models are a huge thing.
Yeah.
The influences you have around you, it makes such an impact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I always tell people, I was like, listen to your vocabulary and then like write down your 5 top words and then go listen to the person you're around the most. Write down their top 5 words. I bet you'll have the same vocabulary.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Back when I was at school, I was a bit of a rough kid. I went through a rough phase, and those are all my friends. I were doing bad things, and then I immersed myself in that. I was a good kid, but because of who I was hanging around, and I started to be that person.
Yeah.
So the people around you are incredibly important, definitely.
But do you find that, so like we were around really bad influences growing up, and then if I tell the stories of different people are just like, no, you can't be because you're such, and I'm just like, you can grow out of things.
Yeah. Yep, definitely.
And what were did you learn quite a bit though? Because there are really cool things that you can take from people who, technically in the world would be bad influences, but they have such like strong values and goals about different things, like how to properly love each other, how to properly be like communal, family, like all of those different things. Like I wouldn't have learnt that unless I had these quote unquote bad people in my life.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm essentially the person I am today because of the rough patch I went through. You don't learn from your accomplishments, you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned. I've learned the hard way. And I was sucked into sort of like a rough lifestyle. I went to quite a rough school, and I just sort of fell into this environment. But needless to say, whatever they did with their lives, that's on them. But they were genuinely very good people.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we came from such different backgrounds. I came from this farm, I lived a different life. And then we just came together and learnt from each other.
Yeah.
It's an amazing experience.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you wouldn't get that sort of exposure.
No way.
Yeah.
Like coming to Auckland, where, there's these kids that haven't really experienced that sort of rougher side of life. They go to King's College or they go to these quite up there colleges.
Yeah.
I'm like, and they haven't experienced the sort of upbringing I had. It's like, what? You never got gang bashed? Like, oh my gosh, and it's completely different. But I take my experiences, what I've learned, on my shoulders. It's who I am.
Yeah.
Definitely, I'm proud of it, essentially. Yeah.
Well, because it does. Like, I hate to harp on with this, but it does make you who you are.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, if you're going to be dealing with people, the more exposure you can have to, like, the broad spectrums of everything.
Definitely.
So, like, at the upper end or at the lower end, if you can get, like, a good spattering of all of them, you're just going to be really good to talk to.
Oh, great. Yeah, definitely. And I think it's really impacted my my corporate life because I'm just so diverse. Like I've worked with so many different types of people.
Yeah.
That's because of my upbringing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Have you had any not business appraisals, but like what are the types of things that people, when they get to know you and they know the real you, or that you'd hope people would say, like, this is Sophie?
What do you mean by that?
Like when they say, like, oh yeah, when people have to describe you, and they're just like, yeah, now that I know her and who she is and the work life and like just kind of everything about her, what are the types of things that you hope people are like would kind of say?
They're sort of down to earth and respectful.
I respect that.
Yeah. Respect is incredibly important to me.
Yeah.
I remember my old colleague said to me once, "You're a very respectful person," and that I just held that with me.
Yeah.
Ever since she said that, it really just meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
So definitely that.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It is awesome. Like,
Put
you
respect on my name, man.
straight up respect right there. Yeah, all over that stuff. Because I think that's just something that, when you get into the corporate world or even when you're trying to climb in some sort of like business oriented thing, you always think that you're going to like Skype ahead, like just focus on yourself.
Yeah,
but by the sounds of things, you're like still like for the homies at the same time?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for the homies, all right.
Cool. So I just had a few more questions before we
Yes.
get into our final question, but this one's more just along the lines of you having to learn different skills, and one of those skills being something that nearly maybe like probably. I don't know, it was only recently that you did it. You started showing a little bit of how you like maintain your finances.
Oh. Okay.
Because I feel like that is also another skill, and you're not someone who went to university, so this is not something that you had been taught in class and then had to do it. How did that kind of come about?
It was because of my family again. Yeah, it was. I remember my dad. He brought me to a bank when I was about, I don't know, I was 10 years old. I think we were too young to have a bank account, but he signed it off. I think it was under his name. I don't know.
Yep.
Times have changed. But we were the youngest to have a bank account, and he started that for us, and he said, right, so you're going to work on the farm where you'll do housework, and the money you earn is going to go into this bank account. And that sort of set the standard for me, and I learned the importance of putting away money and keeping it there and not being influenced by, when you're a kid going down to the dairy, getting some, Coke and lollies. Because, my dad just essentially influenced us in that area there. And growing up, our sort of family dynamics, like it was just, we're not very materialistic, we don't have the most fanciest technology. When you walk into a lounge with that TV there is like 15 years old, I think.
Nice.
And so we just don't replace something if it still works. So it was just sort of that was the way I was just brought up, essentially. Yeah. So you just don't waste money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then sort of not having much financial support, you're sort of forced to take care of yourself. And when I see myself carelessly spending money, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
So I just essentially taught myself how to be more financially savvy.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's really, really cool. Because it's just like reminds me, like we grew up pretty damn poor.
Yeah.
So you just like everything that you have at this point is because you've had to either work for it. But
yeah,
also
exactly.
At the same time, like how I see money is like the hours of work put into
for sure.
it. Yeah.
It's not easy money. Like even just working in the office, it's not easy.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than to piss out your money on complete bullshit. So that's what motivated me. But I know coming from your background as well, it's just...
Absolutely, yeah. But then when you do work, you like actually appreciate the work that you're doing because you're like, this is to like go towards something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas if everything's just given to you, you just
don't appreciate it at all. And I think that's sort of the approach of my father and my mother. They never really gave us... Nothing was ever given, essentially. Yeah. So you'd have to work for it.
It's cool.
Even like at a young age, we were like 10 years old and we'd have to like transplant on the back of a tractor, get our pocket money, and then it was up to us to how we spent it. But I think Dad created that standard of, this is where your money should go and you should put in a bank account that I created for you.
Yeah.
So we'll just all learn from there.
And do you find it hard when you meet... this is more for my sake, but when you meet, so now that I'm kind of getting to the area that I'm at, like I was a poor kid going in and now I'm starting to make friends with people who make bank.
Oh.
And I don't know how to do it because they're just like, hey, let's go do this. And I'm just like, I like start sweating and stuff. I'm just like, I think there might be a wedding that day. I can't. How are you starting to, because now that you're up there and you're working, like with the types of people you're working with, and having to kind of, it's a big shift in mentality or like mindset just around it because everything's so normal to them. How are you taking care of yourself there?
Oh gosh, you just have to prepare for it. And I've always been quite financially savvy, so I've created quite a substantial savings.
Right.
Yeah, so that's where I take our savings. If they want to do something eccentric and extravagant, I'll be like, I have to take out my savings that I've saved for.
Right.
So I've prepared for that. But if someone wants to do something extravagant that's out of my budget, I use my favourite word. And what is that, Troy?
N-O.
N-O.
No.
And you just have to say it. And if you can't afford it, like don't break your back just to do it. Or like it's the same thing with like buying all these expensive purses and all these fancy cars. Like if you can't afford it, don't break your back and put yourself in debt just for it.
Yeah.
It's meaningless.
Because who would you be buying for if you were buying those things?
Yeah. Wait, who?
Not yourself.
Not myself, not at all.
You want to look a certain way, right?
No one gives a shit. Yeah. That's an endless cycle. But I know, like coming into Auckland, there's quite some high rollers out there.
Yeah.
But I try to stay away from them. I've always got a certain personality that you're just like, oh, God.
Sure.
Where have you come from, bloody vermin? So yeah, I definitely surround myself with good people, and even if they're in corporate, they're genuinely very good people.
Nice.
And I've come from quite similar backgrounds as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very important.
And when do you realise that you're allowed to be like a goof in front of people?
Ooh, when they're a goof first.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So when they can, and then also maybe one more just for everyone. When does roasting come in?
Ooh, and what in corporate?
I don't know.
Just overall, I roast everyone. It's like, it depends, because if I know they're good people, if they're young,
Okay.
because in my new job, they're very young and I'm in a good team.
Right.
But in my past, I was in politics and those sorts of things. These were ministers. I was 20 years old and working next to the ministers.
Oh, man.
So I couldn't be like, yo, what's up, dog? I couldn't crack a joke.
Yeah.
But it's just, you get the energy of people, right?
Sure, yeah.
So you just, when you're comfortable, and when I feel comfortable, I'm quite intuitive.
Yeah.
If I feel comfortable, I'll just be myself.
Nice.
Easy as that.
That's good. And
Yeah.
I feel like we got the real you on here.
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like we got the essence of you.
Yes.
We had a couple of
You
laughs.
should hear me speaking like really upper class. I have this certain accent when I speak very formally. It's a whole different
Are
Sophie.
you serious?
Very formal.
Is
You
it
should
for
see
real?
me in the office, yeah. I'm like, hello, Sophie Howden here.
So,
How may I help?
oh my goodness me. I should make a phone call during that time, but like hide my number so that you don't know who it is, just so I can hear it.
Yeah,
And I'm going to
honestly,
expose you. I'm going to
so
record it.
different.
Or record it and put it out there.
Oh, mate. Honestly, I like it. I like being very formal.
That's cool.
And, it's nice. It's definitely, it's me, but, you can't really be yourself in corporate environments. These are
yeah.
very strict, stern people.
Yeah.
You just have to adapt.
But also probably helps you with like not having to put too much of your real self out there. Like you're saving yourself as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're learning a lot.
Mm.
Yeah, it's good people to be around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So we are on to the final question that I ask every single guest that comes on. No, it's not that bad. It's just to have tangible things to take away.
Yeah.
So even if they go through like the whole almost hour and they're just like, what can I do though from this one? So what I ask is, what is something that you do every day or close to every day that makes you feel like you have optimized that day? Or it doesn't have to be every day, but it just makes you feel like, yes, I've owned that.
The gym.
Yeah.
The gym, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
If I have to exercise and, I can mentally stimulate my mind through work, which
Yeah.
I do. But physically, I just need to, just spending an hour on myself, and whether that's just going for a walk,
Yeah.
just at the beach, or just deadlifting crazy amounts of weight, just any sort of physical activity like that
Yeah.
really helps.
So that's your thing.
Yeah, it's my thing.
Right.
It got me out of the really rough patch as a kid when I was, 15.
Yeah.
Hanging out with rough people, I got a gym membership and it just completely changed me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now you're kind of not focusing on how you look though?
No.
Yeah.
No, I've accepted I'm a lanky little llama here. God, I'm like seaweed, honestly. But yeah, no, I've spent at least 10 years trying to get a big booty,
Yeah. Right.
and be that slim, thick chick, but my genetics just don't let me.
Okay.
And I've accepted that. I've trained myself to be a strong, physically strong woman.
Yep.
You can look at me and think, oh, she's skinny and weak.
Yeah.
But no, I can deadlift 110 kgs.
Yep.
Like, watch out.
Yeah.
But that's where I get my confidence from, and weightlifting is incredibly important to me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so when you are going to the say you don't have to go to the gym and you need to go out for a walk or anything like that, like is it always music that you're listening to? Like what are the key components that you'll take? So like I'm about to leave, either go to the gym or go for a walk. What do you take with you?
The headphones.
Just the
Yeah,
headphones.
the headphones.
Yeah.
Music,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah,
And
definitely.
it could be anything like that you're listening to, or like do you have a playlist? Wait, do you have a playlist?
Yeah.
Online.
I've got
I think I actually
different.
listened
I've
to a
got
few.
EDM.
Yeah.
I've got chill rap.
Yeah.
I've got classic hip hop. I've got old school hip hop. It's a list. I'm a
Okay.
huge music enthusiast.
Cool. People will find that as well. And you'll
Yeah.
probably get a
Follow me on Spotify, guys.
2 extra streams from our 2 listeners.
Stop it.
What was I getting? But the final thing was actually just to ask you, because as someone who has been out in the public domain for a very, very long time, but this is like your first time doing long form, being able to talk through everything, how did you find it?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can show my personality.
Right.
It's not like I'm taking a photo of myself in a bloody bikini.
Yeah.
You don't understand who people really are with photos.
Yeah.
That's a bug. So it's just nice to just express myself and and just using my voice and
Yeah.
not having my physical appearance
It's true.
take that, you
Yeah.
know, because I get judged so often. Like people put me in this category of just being dumb just because of the way I look. It's so conflicting.
So you probably get that a lot then. Sorry, that was the last question, but
Yeah.
now I keep asking questions.
No, it's okay.
You probably get that a lot then, so people are just like, oh, you're a lot smarter than I
Yeah,
thought you
I've honestly I've been on like dates with guys and they message me up and like, wow, you're so smart. I'm like, what do you say? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like it's quite disheartening. I get quite pissed off, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would too.
Yeah.
But hopefully this is a really good chance to show just how articulate and like, I don't know, you
articulate.
you think about a lot of things in the world. Like you don't just think about what you're going to look like.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's so important. You know, looks, they'll last, I don't know, you peak, I don't know, when you're young
Yeah.
and they don't last.
Yeah.
It's what's up here, mate.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that.
Try to keep
I
that
think
sharp.
social media just, it clouds everyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe your last one for everyone who is listening to this, as someone who's kind of gone 5-6 years with the following that you do have, and kind of having to go through the different hurdles, having to see that like your worth is not just your Instagram self. What are the maybe like a main couple of lessons that you've learned that you wish either people coming up into the game are trying to know, or even just people want to know about you?
In the games and what?
Like people,
in
maybe like
Instagram?
people are on Instagram and just playing like, I want to get a following, blah 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 blah.
Mate, I just feel sorry for people that want to do that.
Okay.
I see people that like try so hard to get into that space and glorify promoting or being recognized by these brands. I'm like, it's not worth it.
Right.
Like I don't know, the way you get judged and how it impacts your social life as well. You just attract wrong people. Like I've honestly, it's been a whirlwind, and I feel quite sorry for people that envy those sorts of lifestyles, because it's essentially just fake.
Right.
Right? Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'd say so.
In a way?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, the extremes are the ends of the spectrum here.
Yep.
But yeah, if that answers your question.
No, I think that's the truth. I mean, if people want to go for it, they can, but just realizing
it's just not glamorous.
Yeah,
it's
really.
not. And you'll get sick of it one day. Why not put it into something valuable, some transferable skills in day-to-day life? Why don't you put that energy into trying to get famous?
Yeah.
Into real day life jobs.
True.
And to read a book, man. Don't go get your nails done. Go buy a book.
Right.
Like a lot of people just don't do it. They're
Nice.
clouded by this bullshit, and it just infuriates me. But then again, I play a part in this, right? I do live quite a fake lifestyle online, even on my profile. It's fun, but I don't take it too seriously. But I know a lot of people do,
Right.
and that's where it goes wrong.
Yeah. I think that's the allure of you, though, and that's why I think I wanted to talk to you, because you can talk to any. Sorry for the people who aren't listening or who are only listening, but the camera. I'm doing influencers, people who like do that, but then they feel like that's their only part of their life, and then they kind of just everything is set up just so that they can post different things.
Yeah.
And like I'm not throwing shade on anyone, but I'm just saying like the difference with you was that when you would talk to me about different things, like I felt like you were just a person, and you didn't want to talk just for your own personal gain. Like you're just like, oh, you're an interesting person. I want to talk to you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Well, I'm sure everyone's got it's not to say these people that do it they're dumb
100%.
and they're worthless. They're incredibly intelligent people, but I think they're just clouded in sort of the quick money, quick easy lifestyle.
Yep.
You have to think 5 years ahead of the game here, mate.
That is true. Yeah. And you have kind of gone through years of it, so you've had that time to develop that.
Yeah.
No, this has been an awesome chat.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for bringing me out to your land.
Thanks for driving an hour and a half
Yeah.
from Wellington to...
No, it was all worth it. All definitely worth it. So thank you, Sophie, for your time.
No
and
worries.
Everyone probably already knows who you are, so
Stop it.
you know where to find her.
I'm not that famous, guys, okay? I just post my ass online.
So she'll be tagged and everything, and maybe even put her Spotify out there. And it's been very good chatting.
Great chatting with you too, Troy.